I'm going to be looking at another issue of C3i in my collection. This one's quite a few years old. It's number 26 and it came out in 2012. And as is typical, C3i it's a house organ for GMT games, and it has a lot of supporting content. And I like the magazine because I have a lot of GMT games in my collection, but I certainly don't have all of them. An interesting article, I guess, on theory, sort of in practice, is an article on developers and designers. It's called Relationships in Motion, and there are a number of designers and developers featured here. Their photographs are put in here, and there's a lot of discussion about the relationship between the two, the importance of the work between designers and developers, and the fulfillment that they get from that. And this goes all the way up to page 11. So if you are interested in that behind the scenes process, this is a very cool article giving you a peek into the back rooms. There is a lot of content in this issue on the game 1914 Twilight in the East. Now, I don't have that game. It is one I probably would be interested in, I think. But this first article is a variant for Twilight in the East, and it is a Tannenberg campaign variant. So you get a couple pages introducing this variant. There is further coverage also by Michael Resch. This is for 1914 Twilight in the East, and it's a historical background of a post-war solution for Austria-Hungary's mobilization and deployment debacle of 1914. So you have basically a 3-page article on this historical conundrum in hindsight on this. And then there is a graphic that goes along with it as well, adding a 4th page. There is another article, Dragoni's Plan for Austro-Hungarian Victory in 1914. This is a variant, again, by Michael Resch. This is a 2-page article. So this C3i is heavy in the content for Twilight in the East. So I don't have that, so that content didn't really interest me, but this article did. It's an article on Labyrinth, the game in action. This is written by Joel Toppin, and on this game, it's basically a replay, part of a replay of this game. So that I was very interested in that, because it has a picture of the map here, but it doesn't really have the counters on them. But you have a 4-page article really covering a replay of this game in fairly good detail. It's an entertaining read, and if you're trying to understand what you might be able to do with the game, I think it's very good. We have another feature article, Cleo's Corner, number 3. So this is a feature by Mark Herman discussing different designing concepts. It gives you a chance to get into his mind a little bit, and this one is called Who's on First? Initiative in Game Design. So he goes through the concept of initiative, including with chess, his game Empire of the Sun, Pacific War, October War, Go, checkers, Stratego, backgammon. So the idea of initiative is a very broad idea, and then it boils down to the game designer's intent and how he can use these different methods. He mentions Flashpoint Golan, Great Battles of History, and card-driven games, and things like that. And his closing thought here is, at the end of the day, if a game design works for a player, it has achieved its goal. There is no right or wrong way to design a game. When simulating initiative, it is important that the design's intent is supported by the mechanic chosen. So excellent article if you're interested in the theory behind initiative in game design. So I highly recommend that. There is an optional rules section for this game, Space Empires. This is for black holes and supernova effects. So I happen to have this game. I also have 2 of the expansions. I'm not sure on that. Space Empires, but this has the information that you need if you want to add some rules for supernovas and black holes other than what you have in the game. So I'm actually interested in that, even though variants don't typically interest me. Once in a while they do. This one happens to. So I might explore that sometime. We have an interview here of John Butterfield. So, of course, many of us know him as a designer, a solo designer, and really an elite level solo game designer. And it shows some of the designs he was involved in here. Ambush, Battle Over Britain, Freedom in the Galaxy. So this is quite an interview here, and some of his thoughts. He talks about a lot of his different games and the thinking that went into them. So you might find that interesting, especially if you are a fan of John Butterfield. I do have a few of his games. There's a new scenario for Command & Colors Ancients, which I don't have the Command & Colors series, but this is for the Battle of Argentoratum of 357 AD. This is before Julian became the apostate. So you have a one-page article kind of discussing this. Then we have some coverage here, Defending the Union, or 22 Steps to Big Boy Bliss. So this is Mark Herman and David Doctor writing basically a strategy article for this game right here. So it's well worth having if you play for the people. And there is a section here, defense. This defense is built on 10 principles. So this has to do with 10 bulleted points on defense. And then it gets into actually the 1861, how to set up the Union mid-game. So this is really giving you some detailed advice on strategizing this game. There's a subheading called No Free Lunch, which is good. And then other critical 1861 tasks, 22 steps. And that's referring to the card play. So that's what you have there. Then there's an article or an additional feature on what about the West. So it's not just the East in this game. You got to really figure out how to play the Mississippi. Then you have an article here by James Pay, who I think many recognize as an expert on this game. And he has my Union strategy tips. There are 10 tips here. Active defense, bleed the South. The Anaconda, defense in depth. Art of skirmish, defend the rails. Political capital, carpe diem, etc. So this is a very good article. It's concise too, and it's written by an expert, James Pay. There is a scenario for 1805 Sea of Glory. I don't have that game, but it's like a 3-page article on that. There is also some coverage for Great Battles of Magna Graecia, 334 to 332 BC. This is, it looks like an SPQR Barbarian module game, but it seems to be dealing with Alexander. So there is some discussion of this battle period. There's also coverage of Red Winter. I do have that game. I didn't bring it down from my collection, but this is a Winter War game on the Finnish front. So you have a 2-page article of optional rules for Red Winter, and this is written by the designer, as well as some, I guess, design notes here. Then we have a big section in the back, C3i player. This is a gamer profile on some gamers. Then there is an article on Coin. This is dealing specifically with Andy and Abyss. I do have a couple of Coin games, but I don't have Andy and Abyss. So, but this looks like a very good article on understanding what you need to do playing Andy and Abyss. And then there is an article by Volko Runke, or featuring Volko Runke, on some of his future ideas for where he's going to take the series. Of course, this is back in 2012, so it's old news now. And then there are a couple of more articles on gamer profiles, Leland Merrick and Jeremy Entley. That's what you get in this issue number 26. There's also a game in here. It's kind of a simple game. This one is, I think it's called Battle for Kiev. No, Objective Kiev. So it's, an 11 by 17 type map. I'm sure it's broad brush, and, the counters are these ones here. So I think this is along the same lines as Objective Moscow. That's a Frank Chadwick game. I believe this is Frank Chadwick as well. So this game has, appeared over the years in different formats. This one happens to be very nice components in C3i number 26. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments on these games or these articles from this issue of C3i, please leave them in the comments below. Have a great day, and stay tuned for more content if you're interested.